Shaka Zulu, born around 1787 and passing in 1828, also known as Shaka Zulu, ruled the Zulu kingdom from 1816 until his death in 1828. Recognized as one of the Zulus' most powerful leaders, Shaka transformed the Zulu military through major reforms, making it a formidable force. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Africarized. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Like, share, and leave a comment. Who is Shaka Zulu? Born in July 1787 in Mthonjaneni, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, Shaka was the illegitimate son of King Senzangakona Kajama. Shaka spent his youth in his mother's community, training as a warrior within a fighting unit known as Ibutho Lempi, under the leadership of Inkosi Dingiswayo. With Dingiswayo's support, Shaka advanced the Ibutho system, building alliances to fend off attacks from the Ndwandwe people. Though his initial strategies were defensive, he sometimes used diplomatic pressure and strategic assassinations to secure peace. His reign coincided with the onset of the Mfecane or Difecane, a period of upheaval across southern Africa, though his role in this period remains debated. Shaka was eventually assassinated by his half-brothers, King Dingane, Prince Muslangana, and Mbofa Kasithai. Early life. The name Shaka is thought to mean intestinal beetle. As the eldest son, Shaka was considered illegitimate and sent to live with the Elangeni, his mother's tribe. Later, he and his mother were welcomed by the powerful Mthethwa clan, where Shaka grew into a skilled warrior. Recognizing Shaka's royal heritage, Dingiswayo eventually appointed him as a regiment leader, giving him the chance to hone his strategic prowess. After Dingiswayo's death at the hands of Inkosi Zwide, Shaka sought revenge, resulting in a fierce battle. According to accounts, he killed Zwide's mother, Ntombazi, a powerful healer, in a dramatic act of retribution by setting wild animals upon her. Shaka continued his pursuit of Zwide and ultimately defeated him around 1825 in the Pongola area, though he suffered significant losses, including the death of his commander, Mgobozi Ovela Ntabeni. Shaka is famously credited with developing the short stabbing spear, which enhanced the effectiveness of Zulu warriors. His bullhorn battle tactic led to a major victory over Zwide's forces at Gokli Hill. In the early years, Shaka lacked the influence to unite large groups, but after Dingiswayo's death, he moved south and established his capital, Bulawayo, in Kwabe territory, away from his native Zulu lands. Here, he may have supported Nketho in a local succession dispute, using his influence to consolidate power. Shaka Zulu's expansion of power was marked by significant military and strategic achievements, including his conflict with Zwide, leader of the Ndwandwe. As Shaka's influence grew, his aggressive tactics forced several clans and chiefdoms, such as the Soshangane, Zwangandaba, Ndebele, Hlubi, Ngwane, Baka, Zocho, and Mfengu, to flee their homelands. Many sought refuge under the kingdoms of King Faku of Amampondo, King Ngubenkuka of Abathembu, and King Hintsa of Amachosa, where they eventually adapted to the local cultures. Shaka's popularity allowed him to spread his beliefs among the Zulu people, promoting conquest as a swift path to power. This warrior philosophy reshaped the Zulu's social identity. Shaka's dominance relied on both force and alliances with nearby chiefs like Zilandlo of the Mkhize, Job of the Sithole, and Mathuban of the Thuli. These alliances were achieved without conflict, relying on diplomacy and patronage, which fostered a greater, though incomplete, sense of unity within the Zulu sphere. Initially, Shaka acknowledged his ally Dingiswayo, the Mthethwa chief, as overlord. However, after Dingiswayo was ambushed and killed by Zwide's forces, Shaka had to fend off multiple Ndwandwe attacks. Shaka aligned himself with other groups, such as the Kwabi, Hlubi, and Mkhize, building a coalition strong enough to confront Zwide. This culminated in the pivotal Battle of Gokli Hill, where Shaka's forces, positioned defensively atop the hill, resisted and ultimately outflanked the Ndwandwe. Although the losses were considerable, the victory validated Shaka's innovative tactics, which emphasized encirclement and strategic positioning. Another major encounter occurred at the Muhlatuza River, where Shaka decisively defeated the Ndwandwe in a two-day confrontation. Shaka's forces then attacked and razed Zwide's royal kraal, though Zwide managed a narrow escape. His general, Soshangane, fled north to present-day Mozambique, seizing opportunities to raid weaker groups and collect tribute from Portuguese traders. In 1826, Shaka faced resistance from Zwide's son, Sikunyane, in a subsequent conflict. Shaka rarely allowed European settlers into Zulu lands, but in the 1820s he permitted Henry Francis Finn to enter and establish a presence after Finn treated Shaka for injuries from an assassination attempt. Despite witnessing European technological demonstrations, Shaka remained convinced that Zulu customs and ways were superior to foreign influences. Shaka Zulu was ultimately assassinated by his half-brothers, Dingane and Mulangana, after at least 2 prior attempts. These conspiracies, which involved Mpondo allies and some dissatisfied Izzi-Ndane members, gained traction partly due to Shaka's growing unpopularity. Following his mother Nandi's death in October 1827, Shaka's erratic decrees intensified. Historian Donald Morris records that Shaka mandated no crops be planted for a year and banned milk, a staple in the Zulu diet, while ordering that any pregnant woman and her husband be executed. Shaka also commanded the mass killing of cows so that calves would understand the pain of loss, and around 7,000 people who did not display sufficient grief were executed. In 1828, likely in September, Shaka was killed when most Zulu warriors were away on a northern campaign. This left the royal kraal vulnerable, and Mbopa and Induna created a diversion, enabling Dingane and Muhlangana to strike the fatal blows. Shaka's body was disposed of in a grain pit covered with stones and mud. Although the exact burial location remains unknown, a monument was later erected in one potential spot. Historian Donald Morris suggests the real site is on Cooper Street in Stanger, now KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. After Shaka's death, Dingane assumed the throne, systematically eliminating Shaka's loyalists and rival chiefs to consolidate power. Dingane set up his main residence at Mgungundlovu, where he re-established control over the kingdom. However, his rule, lasting about 12 years, was troubled by disastrous conflicts with the Voortrekkers and his half-brother Mpande, who eventually overthrew Dingane with support from the Boers and British in 1840, becoming the Zulu leader for nearly 30 years. Earlier historical accounts have sometimes doubted or minimized Shaka Zulu's military and social reforms, suggesting they were influenced by European ideas. Contemporary research, however, argues that Shaka built upon existing practices within Zulu culture and neighboring tribes to achieve his goals of dominance, conquest, and raiding. Dissatisfied with the traditional long assegai throwing spear, Shaka is credited with popularizing the ikulwa, a shorter stabbing spear with a broad blade suited for close combat. While he did not invent it, Shaka likely obtained the weapon's design from a craftsman named Nzama, who later had a dispute over payment. Historian John Laban notes that Shaka's training in ikulwa use gave his warriors an advantage over those who relied on throwing spears and avoided close engagement. Shaka's forces still used the throwing spear initially, but it was the ikulwa that defined their hand-to-hand combat strategy. Shaka also introduced a larger, sturdier Nguni shield, which was used to hook and expose enemy fighters during combat. These shields were provided by the king with specific colors distinguishing different regiments, or amabutho, within Shaka's army. Various accounts suggest that Shaka demanded his soldiers abandon sandals to toughen their feet, a practice enforced with deadly consequences for dissenters. Shaka trained his troops rigorously, often requiring them to march long distances quickly over challenging terrain. Some historians, however, such as John Laband, question the veracity of these tales, asserting that the Zulu army typically covered 12 to 19 kilometers daily, far less than the 80 kilometers cited in popular stories. Shaka also utilized young boys, known as Udibi, to carry supplies like food and extra weapons, enabling the warriors to travel light and swiftly during raids. Some historians suggest this support role was mainly for light raiding forces focused on acquiring cattle and slaves. Regimental system and the bullhorn formation. Shaka organized his forces using an age-grade regimental system, grouping warriors by age and giving each regiment distinct symbols and names. This system expanded on traditional tribal customs, molding them to fit Shaka's objectives. Shaka is also credited with developing the renowned bullhorn formation, which consisted of 3 parts: the chest, frontline force engaging the enemy; the horns, flanking units encircling the enemy; and the loins, a reserve force held back to secure victory or reinforce the main force. Discipline and ruthlessness. Shaka instilled strict discipline in his forces, punishing any sign of cowardice with extreme consequences. Hesitant warriors were executed, and defeated regiments would often return to find their families had suffered brutal retribution. Shaka's ruthless tactics built fear and loyalty, ensuring that his troops rarely broke ranks in battle. Views on European technology. European visitors introduced Shaka to firearms and written records, yet he was unimpressed. He felt messengers could accurately convey information under threat of punishment. Although he recognized the utility of firearms, Shaka considered them impractical in comparison to the speed of a Zulu warrior's spear. Legacy and controversy. Many historians credit Shaka with transforming warfare in southern Africa, creating a culture of conquest and subjugation through a combination of military innovations and brutal tactics. His use of the Ikulwa and the buffalo horns formation has been compared to the Roman military, with his forces being exceptionally effective in combat. Yet, some scholars argue that Shaka merely adapted strategies from neighboring tribes and states. Figures like Swede, the leader of an opposing coalition, may have influenced Shaka's military structure. This suggests that rather than being solely innovative, Shaka's methods might reflect a blend of existing traditions and borrowed practices from ancient tribal states in the region. While much about Shaka Zulu's physical appearance remains a mystery, most accounts agree that he was tall, with a dark brown complexion and a powerful muscular build. Some sources portray him as having features that his enemies found unappealing. According to Baleka of the Kwabe, as recounted by her father, Shaka had a large nose and 2 prominent front teeth. He was also said to speak as if his tongue was too big for his mouth, which led to a noticeable speech impediment. There's a story that Shaka once joked with a friend, Magay, saying he could never harm him because people would mock him for doing so. If he killed Magay, who was reputedly very handsome, people might think it was out of envy, especially since Shaka was considered by some to be ugly, with a protruding forehead. This story reflects the humor Shaka used to address perceptions of his appearance. Shaka Zulu continues to fascinate people both within the Zulu culture and worldwide. Modern portrayals often celebrate him as a legendary figure, thanks in part to popular media. Traditional Zulu culture still honors Shaka, with the praise song being a prominent form of poetry that venerates not just ancestors, but also people, animals, plants, and even places. A translated praise song by Ezekiel Mfalele illustrates his portrayal. He is Shaka the unshakable, thunderer while sitting son of Menzi, the bird that preys on other birds, the battle axe surpassing all others in sharpness. He is the long-striding pursuer, son of Ndaba, who chased the sun and moon. He is the mighty roar of Nkandla's rocks, a refuge for elephants when skies darken. However, Zulu oral history also presents critical views of Shaka. For example, after his mother Nandi's death, Shaka demanded intense displays of grief, including mass executions, a ban on planting crops, and the killing of pregnant women and their husbands. Oral tradition records that a Zulu man named Gala boldly protested these measures, reminding Shaka that Nandi wasn't the first person to die. Surprised by this, Shaka relented and rewarded Gala with cattle. Shaka's image remains complex in African oral tradition, blending the dual narratives of a heroic nation-building leader and a severe ruler. This ambiguity keeps Shaka's legacy powerful and enduring nearly 2 centuries after his death. Shaka Zulu, the legendary 19th century Zulu king, continues to cast a profound influence on South African history, pop culture, and global perspectives on African leadership and resilience. Known for his strategic brilliance, Shaka unified disparate clans into a powerful Zulu kingdom and transformed military tactics across the region. While his methods were often harsh, Shaka's contributions are widely recognized as instrumental in shaping Zulu identity and pride, with his legacy reflected in several cultural and modern-day references. Shaka Zulu's legacy in infrastructure and culture. King Shaka International Airport. Named in honor of Shaka Zulu, this airport opened in 2010 ahead of the FIFA World Cup in South Africa, representing a modern symbol of the Zulu king's legacy. Situated at La Mercy, about 35 kilometers north of Durban, this airport underscores Shaka's enduring influence in KwaZulu-Natal and connects South Africa with the world, much like how Shaka's vision unified the Zulu people in his time. Shaka Zulu statue. On November 7, 2024, a statue of Shaka Zulu was unveiled at King Shaka International Airport. This monument serves as a tribute to Shaka's memory, attracting visitors and celebrating his role as a key historical figure. President Cyril Ramaphosa's presence at the unveiling highlighted Shaka's significance, reaffirming his status as a cultural icon who represents strength, unity, and African pride. Ushaka Marine World. Opened in 2004, this aquatic theme park on the Durban beachfront draws its name from Shaka, linking the legacy of the warrior king to modern family-friendly entertainment in the region. As one of South Africa's premier tourist attractions, it connects Shaka's historical impact with the tourism and hospitality industries, promoting Zulu heritage. Shaka's legacy in media and global recognition. Global influence in pop culture. The legacy of Shaka has inspired a variety of media adaptations. The 1986 SABC miniseries Shaka Zulu, starring Henry Tele, introduced the story of Shaka to an international audience, and a new television series, King Shaka, is under development by Showtime with Antoine Fuqua at the helm, further expanding the Zulu king's legendary status. Shaka also appears as a playable character in all 6 installments of the popular Civilization video game series. Jah Shaka. The renowned British Jamaican dub and reggae artist Jah Shaka took his name from Shaka Zulu, signifying respect and a connection to African roots. This homage in reggae and sound system culture shows Shaka's influence beyond South Africa, extending into global music movements that value themes of resistance and empowerment. Literary and artistic tributes. Shaka has appeared in literature, including the 1892 novel Nada the Lily by Sir H. Rider Haggard, which popularized his story internationally. A notable wooden statue of Shaka is also displayed in Camden Market in London, symbolizing his recognition as a historical figure worldwide. Through these tributes, both local and international, Shaka Zulu's legacy lives on as an enduring symbol of leadership, cultural pride, and resilience. His story resonates as a testament to African history and its global impact, inspiring respect and curiosity across generations and continents.